licensed with the IRS. Got licensed with the IRS and did all of the things that we need to do. And so we could electronically file and everything. But I say that for you guys that you know that I wasn't thinking that as a business at the beginning. I was just doing it, just to help people. But every one of us has a lot of skills, no matter what it is. So we have to really utilize our skills because God gave those skills to us to produce income and to make money and to, help other people and things like that. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing all of our skills. But if you guys do have any questions, please let me know. I'm open. You could raise your hand, ask questions. I'm happy to answer anything that could come to mind right now. If not, we can move on.
Or you can type the questions on the chat. If it comes to you 5 minutes from now, write it on the chat and we'll address it later on. Sounds good? And then with that, that ties back to, we want to take 3 minutes and talk about another strategy that is related to taxes, but is also related to diversifying income. And that will be an IRA or the Roth IRA. This is something that you might have heard before. So we want to take a couple of minutes and share with you a little bit about what those are.
Yeah, so most of us have heard about a Roth IRA or traditional IRA. Some of us are already contributing to it. Some of us have 401k programs or a type of pension program with our employer. But we just always want to talk about like the difference between the Roth and traditional. So if you're at the beginning of your investing journey and you're thinking about which one's best to go into, both of them have their own benefits, and some like the traditional. So we'll just start with the traditional Roth or traditional IRA. So that one is pre-tax. So all the money that you contribute up to the IRS limit, which is $6,000 per year per person, is considered pre-taxed. So you could actually deduct the amount that you contribute to that IRA, just like you would your 401k. So you could make a deduction on your when you're filing your taxes, and that will reduce your income taxes by just making that deduction, making that contribution. Now, the next thing is the Roth IRA. Now that one's post-tax. So basically you don't get to take the deduction. You contribute up to $6,000, same limit. But everything that in the Roth IRA, when you take it out, if it grows to $10 billion, you pay zero tax on when you take it out in retirement. The traditional IRA, you will pay taxes on that money when it comes out at whatever prevailing tax rate you're at that time in your life. So if you think that your IRA is going to grow like incredibly large and you're planning for it to be millions of dollars, you have to think, do I want to be paying tax on that now, or do I want to pay tax on a larger amount later down the road? So that's the two differences. Now so the contribution's a big thing. I get asked this question. I've been asked this question a few times already right now, beginning of tax season, like, hey, I contributed to my IRA. Is that going to reduce my taxes, or should I put money into it? And it will, until you make an adjusted gross income of $150,000. And after that, you can't deduct anything. There's limits to who can actually contribute to an IRA and a Roth IRA after you make so much money. So it becomes like not deductible at all. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. We have both a traditional and a Roth IRA. So right now we actually have a Roth IRA that's got, like, you could put gold in them. We've got crypto in one of our Roth IRAs and gold in there. So you could put all kinds of different assets in there. You could, there's IRAs where you could actually invest in real estate. You could actually take the money out of your IRA. There's certain ones, and you can invest in real estate and properties and things like that. So there's a lot of options. It just depends on, you know, what's your goal, if you need to reduce taxes this year. Now, one other thing is, if you do have a traditional IRA, this is another question. You have up until April 15th when you file your taxes to contribute up to that $6,000. So if you haven't made a contribution to that this past year, or you only contributed, say, $1,000, and you're filing your taxes and you see, oh my goodness, I'm going to owe a bunch of money in taxes this year. Well, you could actually take some of that money that you'd be paying the IRS back, and you could contribute it towards your IRA, and that will reduce your tax liability. It's not going to be a ton, but it will mitigate some of it. So it's just another way to start thinking about, how can I best use my income? How can I save income instead of giving to the IRS, right? So there's lots of strategy. Yeah, go ahead.
For example, for those that have their own businesses or that they have professional services, is this like a good way for them to also, because some of them, right, sometimes when we have our own business or professional service, we don't have a retirement account, right? We don't have an employer. So we are our own employer, right? So is this like an opportunity for those that don't have retirement accounts through an employer to then use this as
it is. There's actually a better one for self-employed individuals. There's one that's called a simple 401k. So it's basically built for business owners, small business owners, professional services, and you're able to contribute up to $50,000 a year. So it's treated just like it's a 401k for your own personal small business. So it's good I think it's good to like diversify and have all of them. I mean, because you could always contribute up to the $6,000. You know, if you're married, you could contribute up to $6,000 each. So you might as well take advantage of that. And the plan is for all of us. Sometimes right now it seems like $6,000. I don't have that much money to contribute.
I was thinking about that, honey.
But but in a year from now, 2 years from now, you will have, if you guys are doing this and you're following, you know, like what we're all talking about, I cannot see why not a single person on here won't have the income to do that. It will happen. It's once you set your mind to this, it'll just happen. I mean, look, for Deanna and I, 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, we weren't able to do any of this, none of it.
Honey, I'm going to do what every wife does. 5 years ago, in February 15th, we got married. So 5 years, it's gonna be in February.
All right, so yeah, exactly. But we started talking about it before we got married, like how our plans. And we didn't, I had zero money and I had zero savings, you guys, and still like $20,000 in debt. So that was literally 5 years ago. And the things that's happened in the last 5 years, because we got so focused on these different techniques and diversifying, and then now we're getting really even more focused. You know, we spend a lot of time learning from other places, you know, strategies, and that's why I love just sharing this stuff, because it's just every day I feel like I learned something new, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to show this to people because it's incredible. It works. So the next big thing for you guys is think about taxes, because that's where, I mean, think about this. This is all right. So this will make you think different about taxes after tonight. So the average person pays about 35 to 40% in federal taxes right now in the United States. Okay.
That's including state.
That's including state. So let me tell you what that translates to. 3 months out of the year, you're working to pay the IRS and government. Think about that. You're working 3 months out of the year to pay the IRS and government. The other 9 months you get to keep for yourself. So put it that way. So that's why we need to find different strategies, and there are. That's like the simple IRA you could do.
We want to share one more, and at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have our guest join us for our conversation, but savings account. So right now, our savings account interest went up in United States. So it's about 3.3% on online platforms. So if you were concerned about putting money like on a savings account, this would be a good time to put the money in a savings account, okay? While a year ago, they were just giving like less than 1%. It was like nothing, right? Now they're giving 3.3%, which is pretty good, because if you think that some of you might have been able to refinance your property at less than 3%, right? And now you're getting on an interest 3.3%, then it's almost balancing the interest that you're making with the interest that you're paying off from your property. So it's a good moment that if you have a little bit of cash, put into a savings and not a regular checking account. Which bank do we use? Well, we have different banks, but the one that where we put our savings is Ali Bank. It's an online platform. They have checking, they have savings account, very easygoing. They're not in person, they're only online, right? So that's one that we use, Ali Bank, ALLY Bank. And again, on the email that we sent, we're going to share this information. And on our last couple of minutes, we want to share 5 minutes on pricing. I've had people asking me, how do I price items, right? How do I come up with pricing? So I'm going to try to do this in a couple of minutes. First of all, pricing of services and products. Yes, I was gonna, thank you, honey. So services and products. Basically, when you have a service or a product, one of the strategies is to see what others are doing that provide the same service or similar service and the same or similar product. So for that, you might need to do a little bit of research online, on your town, if it's like a store that you want to open, right? And see what are the prices. And then after you have an idea, if it's a product, we want to be able to do a cost, like a cost analysis. Very easy. If, for example, I am going to make a potato, right? A baked potato, and I'm going to sell that potato. I'm going to break down what I'm selling into each individual item. How much is the potato? How much is it the butter or sour cream that I'm putting? How much is it gonna cost me the ground beef and the lettuce that I'm putting? And you break the cost of that product per item. Now, what happens if you have a bag that brings 100? Well, you divide it by 100 items. Sounds good? So with this, products, again, break down what cost is for you. Once you know what the cost will be for you, then you can add how much you want to make. It could be, oh, I want to make $15 per hour additional. Or you want to say, well, actually, I want to make $15 per product, right? But always, I would always recommend researching items that are similar to what you are selling. For the service, right? So service is a little bit different because each one of us is unique. And even some products are unique, right? So when a product is unique, no one else has it. And I'm thinking here about Dawn, right? she create unique pieces, then that increases the value of the product that she's selling. Okay, no one else has it. Oh, I'm getting Gucci. Well, Gucci right now, even though they're selling the product really high, is because their brand is expensive, right? So services, your services are unique because the skill sets that you have are unique. So therefore, you can really price yourself like the service you're providing at whatever rate you want. Again, you can see, because you're starting, if you're starting, you can see how much they're charging around your area or in a similar environment or work that you're going to be providing those services to, or companies that you will be providing those services to. But use that just as a basis, and you can come up with your own rate. You don't have to bargain with people. It's like a painting. If I want to charge $1,000 for my painting, I can charge 1,000, right? Because it's unique. Now it is up to me if I want to wait until someone offers to me the $1,000, right? So I'm also gonna find some like some information, and I'm gonna send it on our email. But very important about pricing, always do your research. And if it's a product, itemize all the different items, itemize, right? Or put the cost of every item that you're using for that product, and then add how much you want to make. With that, let's transition to our guest, which is Marie Lucy Gratacós. Marie Lucy has been in the marketing industry for years. I would say over 20 years, right, Marie? Maybe 25, around that.
26.
26 years. And Marie Lucy is an expert on this area. She handles a portfolio of different companies on the Caribbean. I could say a couple of them, boy, I might mess it up. And what she does is that she handles that client, she supports that client, everything that has to do with the marketing plan. So Marie, I've known Marie Lucy for over 15 years. She's a friend of ours. We love her, we trust her, and we know that she is an expert on this area. So welcome, Marie Lucy.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So excited. It's so good to hear Diana and Chad, because everything that they are mentioning is part of a marketing plan. They use other words like vision, mission, strategy, but at the end, what they are describing is the beginning of a formal marketing plan. So what I wanted to do tonight is like answer your questions. If you have questions, you know, about how to do your plan. Obviously, this is not something that we're gonna be solving in half an hour or even a week, because that takes a lot of thought. But at least I want to leave a seed on how to start doing that. Diana just mentioned something about that you need to do research, okay, about your product, about your service. And one of the tools that we can use is social listening. I'm gonna be sharing with you a presentation that we did for a client I think a couple of years ago in the middle of the pandemic. And even though it has changed a bit, the results that we found at the moment, what I want to show you is a very easy way that you can start doing social listening and preparing your plan, like with a parameter. And how can you visualize with simple steps? How can you start? We can then make another session and talk about briefs and creative and all that stuff. But I think it's very important that you define, first of all, what is your brand? That is the essence of a marketing plan. The first thing that you need to define is a brand. And a brand is something like a persona, And since it's your persona, it's a creation of yours, you can do whatever you want. It's not something that is imposed. It's not something that is something that you are finding or buying. So it's something that you're creating, and you can start thinking about that. As long as you have the brand well defined, everything else will follow. So I'm gonna share with you some slides that I prepared. Shad, can I share? Or Diana? Whoever can give me permission.
I think you got permissions, Diana.
Okay, I got it, I got it. Okay, so basically this is a summary of what a brand should be, okay? And this actually doesn't need to start in a particular order, because I know, for example, when I started thinking about my business, the first thing that I thought about was a name. I didn't do, and I'm in advertising, by the way. I should be the first following the steps, but I had an idea and I got a name. I got a name and I said, you know, when I launched my food business, this, you know, I don't know if it's a restaurant, I don't know if it's a blog, but I had a name. So I started with the logo that a coworker helped me do. And everything else started, you know, like taking place with some ideas, with social listening. I started looking at other people that are doing the same thing that I want to do, like influencers, like TV shows, like websites. But the thing is that when you want to build a brand, wherever you want to start, it doesn't stop there, okay? You have to define it like a persona. For example, is your product exciting or is it a mellow product? Is something that is costly or is something really cheap that, you know, fulfills a need immediately, and, you know, you don't have to give or make a big investment? Is it something that lives in the digital world, or is it something that lives in the offline world? Is it something that you can sell on a website, or is it something that you need to sell at the moment, like a prepared food or something like that? So, you know, it's a process of thinking of how you're going to be building this project, this persona. And you start putting all these ideas, like Diana said at the beginning, in a paper, in a PowerPoint, in a vision board. Or if you want to be more structured, you can find online where there are like millions of formats of briefs, a marketing brief. And a marketing brief is this same chart, but divided in strategy, objective, the traits that you want to communicate, how much money do you want to invest? Is this something that you want to do digitally or in a retail store, in a mall, in a strip mall, or in a touristic area? And you start putting all that information in a paper. So basically, that's how you should do it, so you can get organized and you know, it's a vision of what you want to launch. After that, you can do the financials like Diana was mentioning, but I think the idea, the concept, and everything that you want to do, since it's a project, a project of love, a brand, you know, you can make it however you want. Do you have questions? Okay, we're gonna keep going.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Dawn.
No.
Oh, just a quick question too.
Sure.
And maybe it's too soon if you're continuing. I'll just wait till the end then, because I
No, you can go ahead. You know, this is
okay.
a working session.
Okay, so my question is, starting my business, got the name, working on the logo, starting the website this month. I have to figure all that out. The learning curve is going to be fun. But also, I know that you kind of get in this place where you're going forward, but you don't want to go too far forward till you're really prepared, because, you know, you don't want to have something take off and then you not have enough, or you don't have the right things in place. So that, I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I see the next step maybe would be the website, and then how to steer people to that website. Do you find that it's best to get people who know how to do that, or just start doing it when you're ready?
Do you mean the website?
Yeah, like how getting people to your website. And, you know, I know people do it just on Facebook. They sell things on Facebook, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather just put it out there and let them go to a website and then just see what it is they want to.
When you make a website, the one of the things that you need to do is complete that brand process, because the website is not a logo. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is that people don't go to websites randomly. They usually have a search mechanism tool that drives them to that website, especially if it's something new. If you're dealing with Coca-Cola, obviously you will have a natural traffic because that's a brand name that is well known to everybody. But if it's something totally new, you can start building your website and then start. I don't have the details of your business, but for example, if you have an older target group, you can start using Facebook and Twitter to drive people to your website. If you have younger people, a younger crowd, maybe you can consider Instagram, TikTok, and many other platforms that you have. But the thing is that when you define that target and the amount of product that you want to sell or service that you want to offer, then you decide how you will drive people to your website. I don't know if you're going to be selling your product on your website, or if it's something totally informative, because you can do like a pre-launch, or you can do an educational phase before selling your product. That's something that you need to work out in terms of your marketing plan. You know, there's not a formula for everybody. I think everyone needs to build. This is a baby, you know, it's your baby, you know it. You will be taking care of it, and you will know when to push a little bit more because you're ready to offer more, and when to stop. There are so many offerings in the internet that, you know, people will not get to your website randomly unless you have someone like, I mean, I'm gonna say Oprah talking about your product, for example. Well, then everybody will be driven to know about your product, but they can be driven there just to know you, just to know your product, not necessarily to acquire it. And then that's how you tailor your strategy on, you can, oh my God, I'm going so fast. You can make phases of your communication on how to drive people to your website. But definitely when you start doing that, your website must be almost completed. You can, you know, you can build upon and add stuff, add blogs, add social media, add content to that website, but you have to get your story right and complete. So when people go there, they find what they want and what you want them to see or more. Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? Excuse me, for Dawn. Because as you were talking, Maria, I was thinking Dawn has this, you know, has beautiful product. Do you ever film your creative process, Dawn? Because that would be great content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she makes these beautiful clothes that she does different things to. And I was just thinking, because I'm also in marketing, so I can't help myself. But as you were talking, Marie, I was thinking for Dawn, if she filmed some of her creative process, that would be great content. People would be very interested in that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. And my friend and I have been talking about it. And the other thing is the whole engine behind it is so that other people can join in. I now have a gal that we go to church with from the Ukraine. And so Racia, so I'm teaching her everything I know, even though she's still trying to learn English, you know, so I'm teaching her all the techniques because I want her to be able to have a business and income that she can do it from my website. So I want to get other people to be able to come to that, to the Glory Duds. And then when they sell their Glory Dud on it, then they get that money for, you know what I mean? So just to make it an engine for people that maybe wouldn't necessarily, or very creative people that would like to do that. And then all the proceeds go to people in need. So, you know, so it's like, yes, with that, there has to be a connection as far as what we do and why we do it. Where that's why I want to send people to a website that, you know.
To learn about your brand, to learn about your brand.
Yes.
So good, Dawn. Thank you for sharing, Dawn.
Mhm.
So good.
Do you have your social media on, Dawn?
Do I have,
Social media?
yes, Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, I'm still learning, so I don't do a lot on it yet, but.
Are you monitoring the comments on what people are looking for?
Oh yeah, they're very positive comments, very much so.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's a great tool also to find out. Actually, it can help you even with your positioning. And how do you want to position yourself in the mind of people? Because sometimes we have an idea and we don't have, you know, we don't need to have a clear path when it's starting, but your customers, your followers are the ones that give you a great direction, so you can, you know, develop your website, keep building your business, giving you new ideas, even though from what I hear, you're in the creative side. So I would be using that. I would recommend for you to use a lot of social media for social listening and probe people, ask questions. You know, if you're selling clothes, for example, start sharing content about stuff that you like, just to see how people react to it. If you have a research company, a lot of money to spend, that would be great also, because, you know, it's a more structured way to get information. But social media today is so open and it's so easy to use that you can gather a lot of information there. Any other questions? So I was talking about the process, and this is, you know, something very formal, but it's really close to what Diana was saying. You have to start with the business plan. She was talking about the vision, mission, and that's, I don't remember the word that you used, Diana. Eso. I saw your lips. Well, that's the first thing that you need to do for your business plan, you know, because that's like the beginning of the project. Then you can start making the strategy, the price, the places where you want to sell it. How much do you want to produce and sell? What are the venues that you want to use? If it's a venue, you know, a website, if it's a retail store, whatever. Then when you are going to start doing the advertising, the paid media, the social media, you need to write a creative brief. And what I mean from creative brief is how do you want this to look? Okay. where do you want to use your graphic line, a graphic ID? For example, maybe your product is very colorful because that's the type of art that you are gonna sell. That's the type of clothing that you're gonna sell. So part of your brief needs to be that your graphic ID, that your taglines, that everything that is written, that everything that is designed needs to follow that personality. That persona needs to support the brand that you're looking for. Okay. Then it comes the media plan. Media plan can include, you know, like an ad for the Super Bowl, but also it can include a banner for Google programmatic banners, for example, that will drive people to your website. Or media planning is also integrating social media as a main media for you to advertise your product, because you don't have to be everywhere. You just need to master one media with the budget that you have. And then when you start growing, you can start, you know, investing in other media. Then it comes to advertising development, that is, you know, like maximizing in every single piece that you can produce, from POP material, from outdoor media, from TV, from social, wherever you want to place your product and your message. Then comes production, then the post-campaign evaluation, and this is very important, specifically when we're starting with a new product. What is working? What is not working? One thing that I didn't mention, and it's really important, and it's not mentioned here actually, is having very clear objectives. For example, if you want to reach 10 million people, it's not the same plan as if you want to reach 10,000 people around your area, your living area, your business area. So it's very important to establish the objectives, so at the end of the campaign effort, whatever you're doing, you can measure the results, optimize that plan, and if it's working, let's keep on doing that and start adding other stuff that we want to test. And if it's not working, let's not do it again. Evaluate what other ways to advertise and place ads we have, and then start again. Okay.
Marie Lucy, I think when you mention objectives, it's perfect, because part of that business plan, which is the VMOS, right? We talked about the vision, mission, and then the third thing is the objectives. And that's when you, like you were saying, Marie Lucy, you define those objectives, right?
And it needs to be defined in terms of budget, in terms of results, and in terms of times, because also if you want to reach 10,000 people or 10 million people in 1 week, it's a different type of effort, different type of budget, and actually different, maybe different types of media outlets to do it. So, you know, the objectives and the way to measure it is very important to pre-establish that. And actually, we all made that mistake at a point of, I think, in our careers or in our path, because sometimes we want to do so much that we forget on how to establish or even realistically or dreaming my objective, because obviously if we are here, it's because we're dreaming and we want to act on launching something, and we want to be realistic, you know, and don't go out of control with budget or anything like that, when then we cannot measure the results, or we even can be disappointed by the results. And it's nothing or nobody's fault. It's just that we didn't establish the right objectives for the phase that our business is. Okay. And again, I'm going fast with a lot of information. If you want to have ask questions, you can interrupt me. Okay. This is a presentation that I did with a coworker a couple of years ago, and it's related to social media listening. Don, that's why I asked if you had social media, because I think it's a very good way to start. And I think it's a very good exercise that we all can do. Now that I'm planning on starting my own business, this is something that I need to do myself. Bear with me, the results are a little bit old, but I think we can customize and you will get the idea when you see the graphics, okay? First of all, let's define what is social media listening. Social listening is a process of monitoring digital conversations to understand what customers are saying about the brand, company, product, industry, or any other topic. This social listening can help us gain consumer insights, opportunity for content optimization, new market trends, UGC, which is user-generated content, and discovery of opinions of leaders and influencers. This was made during the pandemic, and these were some of the findings that we discussed with the client. Only by looking at the conversations and the memes that were shared during the pandemic, okay? Especially the first year, because here in Puerto Rico, I know that in the state it was like shorter, but in Puerto Rico, there are people that think that we're still in the pandemic. So this still works for Puerto Rico. I know that other regions are over it, but I think you will get the idea. For example, there was a new term that is called the Corona coaster, which means that is the ups and downs of the pandemic. One day you're loving your bubble, doing workouts, baking banana bread and going for long walks, and the next you're crying, drinking gin for breakfast and missing people you don't even like. So it was, you know, this emotional roller coaster, that all the news, that all the pressure that we were receiving. And the thing is that this term was all over social media with the hashtag Corona coaster, and everything that you posted, even if you were happy, if you were sad, if you were stressed, if you were finding the cure for the virus, wherever, that was like the term that you were using. So, you know, this is a very good example of how social media creates these terms. Sometimes it's abbreviations, like LOL, you know, laughing out loud and stuff like that, because apparently in social media, people don't like to write a lot. You know, everything is like abbreviated, so people read faster. So, you know, this is an insight that we found, people creating their own words. Online behavior as a method for fulfilling needs. Digital platforms were our survival tools. So if our mobile phone was important before the pandemic, after the pandemic, I think that was, you know, the way to do everything, because you couldn't even go out, for example, for an ATM. So people that didn't use digital banking, you know, there was a spike, like in Puerto Rico, for people trying to do transactions on digital banking, especially the elders needed to learn however they could to use different digital platforms that before the pandemic, they were not even considered, okay? So definitely digital platforms were our survival tools. And we use this. This is the Maslow pyramid. This is the pyramid that Maslow created or launched in the 1940s. And, you know, we made like a simile of what was happening with all the needs that a human being needs to fulfill, and how the different behaviors change to fulfill every single need that we have, okay? As we can see, we have self-actualization, we have the esteem, we have belonging, we have safety, and we have the physiological. And if we start with the physiological, for example, there was a boom with all the delivery food services that we have in Puerto Rico, that before the before the pandemic, there was, if there was a small percent of people using them, they were launching. After the pandemic, everybody started using those platforms. That's why the social media platforms, the digital platforms, were so important during that period. And please raise your hand who did banana bread every single day, because it was a way of doing something that you had in your house with very basic ingredients. For example, you watch a tutorial and everybody did banana bread during the pandemic. And that was an insight that when we're doing this presentation to the client, everybody started laughing, because that was like the best example to see how people, you need to eat, but at the same time, they needed a little bit of entertainment and started doing new recipes. The groceries that they bought were different because they were willing to try different stuff because they were bored. They were at home, and money was not an object because, all the incentives came. So people had a lot of money. They were not spending money in gas. They were not spending money in clothing. So, that was, you're laughing, Diana. I think you are identifying yourself with this.
Oh yes, I have like a
situation.
movie. We were not using makeup. No one was using lipstick.
Yeah. So that's the first one, and that's an example. I would love for you to use this with your products and do this exercise. So how can your product feel each level of needs? Maybe your product can fill more than one. Maybe it can fill every single need. Maybe it's 2 or 3. But the thing is that when you identify what is the need that your product is fulfilling, your brand grows. You can prepare your positioning in a clearer way, and it's easier to create a brief and a creative brief. Okay. Safety is another level. Obviously, people started monitoring every emergency alert via text messages. The lockdowns were monitored, curfews, weather. Instagram became a main e-commerce outlet for buying and selling face masks. And after the basic one, after people got tired of the main ones, the ones that are surgical or medical, people started like buying masks with prints, with how do you say lentejuela, Diana? With shiny stuff. They started like becoming even fashionable, and that was a boom because people started doing something new, using the safety level to sell fashion, for example, because they started selling masks that were matching your clothing. Okay. The sense of belonging. Every single platform that could be used to communicate with your family, with your loved ones, even with your co-workers, definitely had a boom. I never used Zoom before. I had used, for example, Teams and other platforms that were like the most common ones for jobs that were more secure. Even I have a client that is a bank. I had a platform exclusively with all the safety measures. But after the pandemic, people needed ways to communicate, and you could see grandparents, co-workers, neighbors making Zoom calls. And it was like Zoom call to watch a movie, a Zoom call to have a coffee, a Zoom call to discuss the news, a Zoom call for even parties, like parties with DJs. So, it's very important how these platforms gain a very special place in the dynamics of our daily lives. Self-esteem. the sense of confidence and achievement, working from home and homeschooling activities while using video conferencing platforms as main communication tools. People needed to feel that they were doing something for themselves. They felt that they needed to help the children with school. And it started, building this, I don't know how to say it. It's like they felt that they learned something new, that they were using the platforms in the correct way for the lives to go on. So they didn't feel that their lives stopped. So it helped the self-esteem by using these platforms. And at the end, self-actualization. Also, people wanted to be part of something. They were looking at the breakthroughs that were happening at the moment, the Black Lives Matter, the stay home movement. And also, they looked for spontaneity through influencer marketing. There were a lot of influencers, the micro and the macro influencers, that found a new place in the lives of people that were always or were before only watched or followed by younger audiences. After the pandemic, because of the mass use of these tools, other people, like, I don't want to use the word old, but like more classic music, classic movies, classic celebrities, to say, not to say old, found a place in this media that usually was used only by the younger people. So as you can see, there are so many needs that need to be fulfilled, and I think our products can be part of that. Forget about this. This is old news, so don't worry. Okay, and then our learnings. Change is the new constant. So don't think that something that was good yesterday will be good in 2 years. No, not necessarily. We need to be listening all the time to what's happening around us, in our target, in the industry that we're going to be, being part of, so we can be aware of what's happening all the time. People have unparalleled ability to adapt. Obviously, at the time it was the pandemic was happening, so health is an issue important to all targets, not for elders or people with specific conditions anymore. If we're young and we want to be healthy, there's a lot of people doing and buying a lot of stuff that helps their wellness, overall wellness, not health, just everything. Local businesses, family, and friends became the first responders at the moment. Social responsibility is key for brands to embrace and needs to be genuine, visible, and actionable. And this is very important. The social responsibility that we show with our brands, whatever you can say in your platforms, that is something that you're giving back to your neighbor, to your community, to your industry. That is super important, because there's a new sensibility for this type of messages and commitments that the brands are doing. It doesn't matter if it's a big brand, if it's a new brand, people are feeling more relevant and more attracted, because they feel that they're doing something too through your brand. Okay, so social responsibility is super important. And most of all, human compassion is more relevant than ever. The sacrifice for the well-being of the others is being noticed. Okay. And I think my presentation stops here.
Wow,
Any questions?
That was incredible.
so good.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Ray.
So the social listening, I've never heard that before. I mean, I guess I've heard, like focus groups and things like that, which is a social listening, a form of it. But the way you put it out there, I mean, that's so important. So are there platforms, or are there
Yes.
that you could go to find this information? Because obviously we're not going to scroll Twitter and YouTube and everything else from
Yes.
hours on out. How would you go about that?
Yeah, there are a lot of platforms. I can send you some of them. Some are free, some are you have to register and pay a fee. But you can start. My point for this meeting is that you can start doing it on your own platforms. And when you start building your business and when you grow, you can have a subscription. There's mail water. I'm gonna send you, I don't remember the names because I don't use them all the time. I have a team that does social listening every day, but you can start doing it by looking at what people are saying. For example, Shad and Diana that just launched the taxpayer service. Check who's liking it, check who's commenting. Also, when you start doing the paid media in Facebook, that's a lot of information also that you can receive who is doing. It's not necessarily that people are engaging, just the people that are clicking. When you go to the reports, that's social listening too, because you will see if there are women or men who are clicking your ad. So, it's a discipline that once you start, you will find a lot of information. You can make, for example, when you start making placements, there are so many reports, even the time when people see your ads. You can see that if it's in the morning, if it's in the afternoon, if it's those are statistics, but I consider them part of the social listening because it's the same monitoring. It's like a combination, what they comment, how they engage, and also what you're doing, when are you reaching them? Okay.
That's great.
I'm gonna send you some platforms that we use.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions?
I would just like to say, Maria, this was really informative. It was really good. Thank you so much. It was really good.
Very glad to hear that. And
Just
this is
what I
the top
needed.
of the iceberg.
Yes.
There's a lot. There's a lot to do, but the good thing is that once you have that brand, like even written in a vision board, however you want to do it, everything else flows, because once it has the persona, the identity, the traits that you want to be known for, the rest you will recognize it. When you know your brand, someone can come to you with a recommendation and you will instantly say, this is me, or that is not for me, that is not my brand, because you know your brand. That is why it's so important to define your brand, not necessarily the steps, but for example, you were talking about your website. That is super important because you had a logo, but how that logo will work, maybe when you see your logo applied to some stuff, you say, that is not my logo, I want to change my logo. And you are at the correct time because you haven't launched anything. You're starting the process. So you will feel it, you will see it.
So basically, is if I have social media, using that social media that I already have to start sharing about my product or my service.
You can do that, or you can create a fan page, a business page that you can use only to promote your services. Right now, I think you're doing it from your personal page.
Yes, we are. Yes, on our case, we are.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you should separate that.
I noticed
Yeah.
Facebook won't let you have a second Facebook. So you can't have like I can't have Dawn's and then I can't have and do Glory Duds Facebook. There can only be one under my name. Otherwise, they charge you a business fee, a business account.
But you can, but I think I have like a group, or I have to check mine. I don't remember because I opened it like a long time ago. I can check because I think you can create like a group or something. I can find that for you.
Okay.
Let me look for it. Let me look for it. I also have an account from my office, so maybe it's mixed. Let me check that for you, and I'll share that information with you. Plus the monitoring social listening platforms.
I love it. This is so good. You give me so many ideas. Just listen to this.
And I did want to say to everyone, one of the things that we are going to be doing and we're building right now is our website. And on that website, we are going to have these recordings. We're going to be sharing blogs, but we are also going to have all of your web pages connected to our website. So for example, if it's services that Winona shares, or any products or any service that anyone does, and you have a website, we will have your website as part of our platform. So people that meet us, that they know us, they can go to our website and they will see all the different links for your website. Does that make sense? So it's very similar to what Dawn was actually saying. That was also our idea, is like really to be able to connect everyone, like connect all of us and connect to other people as well. So I think this has been extremely helpful, Maddie. Very, I don't know if you can share with us your presentation. And then
I don't know if I can, because it's from my office, but I can share with you the Maslow pyramid, so you can do your own findings and matching with your product, because this one is 2 years old and it was totally based on the pandemic findings, and this has been changing a little bit, but there are some pillars like the social responsibility that is still there. People are looking for that. People want to know how, if they cannot do it, this is how they see it. If I am not, if I don't have a nonprofit organization, for example, of my own, how can I help through a brand that does it? And that's the value that it can add. And that's something that, like spiked during the pandemic. Also, like considering people that sacrifice themselves to help others. So, and I think from what I hear, there's a lot of that in the brands that are represented here. And if not, make a brand that does that. If you don't have an idea and you want to do something that is really important for everybody, do something that is socially responsible.
Yeah, and Marie Lucy, you brought it up so nicely, because I know that everyone on this call is generous by heart, and it's the core value of everyone, at least one of the core values of everyone on this call. So everyone's intention, it is to give back, it is to be socially responsible. I know here that there's people here that I want to focus on being healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy, spiritual healthy, right? Educators are here on this call as well. So there's so many different skill sets, and all of us are being brought together by the desire to give back. So this is just perfect. It's like a beautiful ring to our fingers, right? Because all of us are on the right track.
Yes.
We want you to know everyone on this call is on the right track. Don't limit yourself. Don't think I'm too old, I should have done this 20 years. You're not. Maybe I'm too young. Don't think I'm too young or too old. You're in the right spot at the right year with the right people. Don't limit yourself. Maybe if you're thinking, well, this could be a product that I could sell at some point. It could be a book, right, that is connected to your vision. So don't limit yourself. Keep on moving forward. Chad, would you like to add anything else?
Oh, you said everything perfectly. She's way better at this than I am. So no, but she's right. She's right. I mean, everybody's here. You guys are on the right track. And I mean, I see so much potential in everybody. And even since we've started, months ago, I'm like seeing even more things come out of people, and the conversations I've had on the side with different people. It's just, you guys are making it happen already. And I can't even imagine a year from now where all of us are going to be, especially after just listening to marketing advice from Marie Lucy. Now I'm like, how can we fail if we just do those things? So I'm so appreciative for everybody here. I'm so thankful you guys join us, because this is great for us. This is what we want to do, and I want to learn from you guys. So if any of you have something that you've been working on that you really feel it could be of value to the rest of the group, please let us know, and we'll have, just like Marie Lucy, and we got another guest next month, but we want you to be able to share your ideas, share your value, your knowledge with us, because that's what this is all about, so we all grow. So at that, thank you guys.
Thank you so much for your time. Marie Lucy, thank you for your valuable time and sharing your experience with us. Thank you, everyone. And remember, we'll see you then at the end of February again for 1 more hour with us at Diversify. Have a good
Have a
evening.
good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.